And we're live. What's going on, everyone? It's Talks with Kenny here today, and we're live with Kenny. This is going to be episode 27. I'm starting to listing out the episodes from my podcast now just to help me keep track of everything, and it makes it easier to reference previous streams if I need to. So today, we're going to give an American deep dive view of the whole Palestine-Israel conflict. And over the week, I've been really just getting all as much information as I can on this whole event. And I want to start off of, right here at home. I did an Inconvenient Truths recently about why America shouldn't be intervening in this conflict. Right. So America's largest cities ramp up security as anti-Israel rallies hit streets after former Hamas chief called for a day of jihad. Now, it's October, Friday the 13th. That's a very ominous day, especially in the month of Halloween. And many cities across the globe, including New York and California, will implement heightened security measures Friday as hundreds are expected to gather in America's largest cities for anti-Israel rallies. Now, this is not good optics for the Palestinians, right? So if you want, there's this narrative, it's Israel versus the Palestinians and we're in an open air prison. And I'm like, look. Right now, who's managing the land? Israel is. And you want to come in and kill people that never took the land from you. The land was never probably stolen. There's people here that are killing each other over history that they never personally was a victim of. They were born in Gaza. The Israelis were born in Israel. Like, your land was never, This is kind of bringing home this argument of why I don't like identity politics, because this is what's going on right now between the Israel and Gaza. I always forget the name of Gaza. Is identity politics to its conclusion. Two ethnic groups, two different cultures going at war. Why? Because you're Israel, you're Israelite, and I'm a Palestinian. We got to go to war. Because we both claim this is our land, right? And throughout the video, I have 4 videos, and then we're ending it with Ben Shapiro. I think he has very good information when it comes to this whole conflict. And don't worry, this video is nothing recent. This is a video that he made 2 years ago, kind of predicting, every couple of years when Palestinians are about to get voted out, the Hamas is about to get voted out of power, they'll hit you pretty much, hey, let's go hit Israel. And it becomes like a political distraction. The same thing that goes around in our country here in America. But, I digress. The NYPD is preparing for a large demonstration in Times Square as New York City's Mayor Eric Adams said officials are deeply disturbed by the message of hate urging violence in our community. Right. And this is identity politics for you. Right. This is where intersectionality starts breaking down, because damn well. Right, I think Mia Khalifa, she's she used to do porn or something, and she got fired from Playboy because she supported Palestine. And these people are getting some of the blowback because a lot of people in America, we don't share the Palestinians' perspective on this. Right, I'm just being honest. Look, that's why I put the video an Americans deep dive. I'm not trying to act like I'm objective, because I don't think anyone's really objective when it comes to any topic, but that's just my personal opinion. And as an American, I'm looking at this, I'm like, okay, so the land that's currently Israel, the one that's right now under Israel's stewardship, would you be complaining? This is how I want to break it down. Israel came in, they brought infrastructure, they brought their expertise, and they never really left. And you're going to see a lot of the videos I show here. You're going to see like a student disagree, some of the blowback. And all I'm saying here is that the Palestinians don't have good optics here. Because right now you want to make the claim, Israel's plan all along, right? I made an observation like, hey, how did Hamas get past Israel's information network? How did Israel not see it coming? And my argument here is that even if I concede the point that, hey, Israel allowed this to happen to justify their attack on Gaza, Hamas still fell for it. It's like me, if I instigate someone to hit me, the minute the person hit me, it's my right to respond how I see fit, because I was the one who got violated. And it's this bad premise that the left fall into. They put this default that just because you're weak, you're inherently good. All your actions, you see no wrong. You're always going to be a victim because you're weak, and that the strong can never be victimized. And that's a lie. That's not true. Just because Israel has power and strength, way more disproportional, more power, more strength, more infrastructure than Gaza, doesn't mean that, yeah, Hamas did all these bad things, but you should ceasefire. You shouldn't defend yourself. No, that's asinine. That's dumb. That's like me saying, if someone punched you in the mouth, just because he's shorter than you, you shouldn't beat him up because you're bigger than him. Who told you to poke the bear? Right? And this is the kind of coddling that the left likes to do to people. They do it to black people. This is why I don't like identity politics, right? Oh, they're black, it's racist to kick them out of school for holding them accountable for breaking the rules. And this is the problem we have in our culture right now. And I think this is how the left catch themselves on the wrong side of these issues, in my view. Right? Concerns echo as New York Governor Kathy Hochul, but Hochul added that officials currently did not have intelligence indicating any active threats. Apparently, there's already been some people trying to stab people today. I'm not going to cover all that, but I hope you guys are staying safe on this October 13th, because to me, Hamas did not do themselves any favors by calling this. You only playing into like nothing they do makes logical sense to me. I'm sorry, this is an American perspective on this. If you claiming, hey, we're here to retake our land, but you calling for Palestinians all over the world for a day of jihad, that don't sound very peaceful. He ain't saying, hey, protest. Nah, he said make them feel it financially. Hey, financially support Hamas. Come on. And some people try to make, it's both sides. I don't think it's both sides, bro. Because if Hamas really cared, like, let's think about it this way. If Hamas really cared about its people, would it do an action that would put most of its people in jeopardy? That's Hamas' fault. That's not Israel's fault. Israel is just defending itself at this point, trying to get its people back. You can even make the claim that Hamas instigated Israel to push further. You give Israel the cause to, in good optics, flatten Gaza, and you can blame no one but Hamas. And who put Hamas in positions of power? The Palestinian people themselves. As you see through the video, I don't want to spend too much time on this, but I just think this is the worst thing to come out for Hamas, for the Palestinians, because when you say free Palestine, as an American, I ask, what do you mean? What does free Palestine mean? Does it mean like open the borders from Gaza to Israel? Okay, if that's the case, how does Israel know that these people won't be violent and try to hurt them? There's a reason why that gate is there too. There's a reason, right? Would you want two people to associate with each other where they have hostility towards each other? If I were to agree with it's both sides. Israel don't like the Palestinians and the Palestinians don't like Israel. Okay, isn't that fence kind of, hey, you on your side, I'm on mine? But it's an open air prison. Like, y'all can't have it both ways. If it wasn't there, what would happen? Would it be less violence or more violence? Are these people as peaceful as they try to frame the argument, frame the story to be? Or not? This day of jihad don't show you guys as peaceful. It looks like, hey, Palestinians are covertly supporting Hamas. I mean, it's hard to argue that when you put these people in power over your old jurisdiction, and then when these Hamas people are in power, they don't do anything to improve the lives of the people. They use the people as human shields because they know Israel don't like to kill innocent civilians. And it's a tactical thing. They do it so that way when they put their hideouts under hospitals, schools, they know, hey, if you bomb this place, hey, you killing innocent people. Your move, Israel. It's a tactical thing. So Hamas don't even care about the Palestinians. But I don't understand why the Palestinians still support Hamas. Or don't try to some way to separate themselves from Hamas. And it's a culture I can't really understand because I'm not part of it. Right? But I digress. I've been spending about like 9 minutes on this. I want to move on to the next part, which is the accountability. Major CEOs back calls not to hire pro-Hamas Harvard students, right? So now, at least 10 CEOs and other executives are backing a call not to hire Harvard students. Ooh, cancel culture. Oh, it come back to bite. And this always happens. Like if you always instigate for a rule, be prepared to suffer be prepared for the rule to apply to you as well. And the left for too long has been going away with unaccountability. And now they finally did something to piss people off. I'm sad it took this to recognize that. Harvard students who signed on to a letter blaming Israel for the deadly attack, and that's another thing I noticed too. But we'll get into that. We'll start getting cooking. Right now, I'm trying to warm up. The group of executives expressed their support after Bill Akerman, the billionaire founder of hedge fund Pershing Square Capital Management, called on Harvard to release a list of students who signed the anti-Israel letter. Wow, the leftists finally notice how conservatives feel like. Now they want to take it back. This is the biggest reason why people should be pro free speech, right? Because it allows people to express their views out in the open, and you get to make a mental note. Okay, I'm gonna stay away from that person. Oh, because end of the day, I like honesty. It's better I have more respect for someone to tell me where they actually stand. Hey, Kenny, I'm a racist. I don't like black people, so don't associate with me. Cool, I can respect it. You stay on your corner, I stay on mine. But what the wokies do, they want to censor speech so that way this same racist will be covert. He'll be like, I'm secretly racist, but I'm going to pretend I like this guy. What's more dangerous for me? To associate with an open racist or a covert racist? You let me know in the comment section. Because to me, I'd rather he loud and proud about it so I know, hey, I gotta watch him. I got to pay attention to him. I got to be careful with him. Or I know the reality of how to interact with this person. Hey, let me change his mind. Hey, let me see what's driving this idea he has about a certain group of people. And that's the same thing that's going on with the Palestinians. Identity politics is a cancer in our culture. Globally, this is it. Like, this easily can happen here. Right? Easy to think with black people because you can easily see it happening here. Oh, white people did this to us. It's grievance. This is all it is grievance. A deep-seated grievance that a lot of people don't personally experience. Oh, they stole our land. Well, unsettled land. Like, hey, yo, someone come in. Like, they like to call the Israel people settlers. Okay. If the person came, implemented infrastructure, created all this architecture, they built the land to where it is at today, to the point where you covenanted it, to the point where they're supplying you electricity and water, but you couldn't do it for yourselves when you had the land. And you also see, gonna in this stream, in this live stream, in this podcast, you're also gonna see details of stories of how that land has been occupied by the Romans, the Ottoman Empire. All kinds of people came, ruled, left, usurped. It's human history. Human history was a bloody, I feel like a lot of people who grew up in a safe suburban lifestyle have never experienced what like true threat of violence has been. Like, I grew up in the hood. The hood is the closest thing to a war zone most Americans will experience in their life. So drive-by shootings, I experienced that terror. Oh shit, we gotta go under the you get me? That's the closest thing to a war zone that I could picture. I have that experience that, things can go south like this. Things can go out of order like this. This is why I laugh when feminists say, there's no need to have a gun. This is why I laugh at these gun control people. I'm like, when the shooting starts, it's gonna take 5 minutes for the cops to come save me. So for 5 minutes, I'm a sitting duck if I'm not armed. Right? I think I did a Inconvenient Truths on Wednesday. Right? Check it out if you haven't seen it already. But I made a point of how Israel had strict gun control laws. I'm like, what? You're one of the most prosecuted people in the world, and I got strict gun control laws? What? It baffled me. Because I bet you if they had 2A constitution, a 2A amendment in Israel, there'll be a lot less victims that suffered the effects of what happened at the Hamas attack. But enough rambling from me. Let's get back into the story, right? So now these lefties are getting held accountable. Now they're running scared, right? Because this My argument has always been the left don't care about morality. They don't care about being consistent. They only care about consequences, because that's the only way you could keep people in check. Most people only respect consequences. If there wasn't a law that punishes you for stealing, a lot more people will steal. All you got to do is look at the Democrats' soft on crime stance. People respect consequences. That's human nature. If people that's why there's a saying about being a doormat. Don't be a doormat. And this is what the left expect Israel to operate on. They have the power. They have the leverage. They're a lion compared to a mouse. And they say, hey, you're a lion. You're stronger than them. You can destroy them with a paw. Don't attack them back. So show restraint. Oh, I'm gonna sit here and let these people kill my cubs, kill my wives, kill my kids, and you just supposed to I'm supposed to proportional. No. How I choose to respond is how I choose to respond, because you're not the one who got victimized by the attack. And this is why I'm so anti-interventionist. Hey, let's not deal with that. Hey, we just gonna tell, hey, don't go too far, Israel. Hey, I don't want our troops to be involved. Hey, you go in, eliminate Hamas. I don't know why we don't give them the ISIS treatment, but maybe we'll find out earlier in the video. But I've been asked by a number of CEOs if Harvard would release a list of the members of each of the Harvard organizations that have issued the letter assigning sole responsibility for Hamas' heinous act to Israel, so as to ensure that none of them inadvertently hire any of their members. Ackerman, an alumni of Harvard, posted on Tuesday on X. If in fact their members support the letter they have released, the names on the signature should be made public so their views are publicly known. This is why you don't want to censor free speech. You want to know where the public stands on issues, right? And now when it's time for the left to put up or shut up, they're quiet now. This is what I'm saying. It's easy to be liberal from afar. It's easy to be open borders when the border problem doesn't directly affect you. And that's what I notice a lot about the left. They don't care about issues. They'll pretend to virtue signal about issues that don't directly affect them. Black people get affected by affirmative action. Oh, it's a good thing. But I'm pointing out, hey, look at all the bad effects of affirmative action. They don't care. They care about looking good. Look, I'm sticking up for black people. They want to aggrandize on like using you as the prop. Oh, look, I want to show how much better I am than the other people, the other whites. Jonathan Newman, CEO of salad chain Sweetgreen, responded in the comments saying, I would like to know so I will never hire these people. Same David Duell, CEO of healthcare services from Easy Health. What? I know them students were shaking in their boots. The students faced swift backlash from faculty, students, and prominent politicians. Several groups quickly backtracked. One Harvard law student who sat on the board of a group that signed the letter resigned, calling the statement erroneous. Egregious. Sorry, I replaced a word, but only care about consequences. If there was no pushback like this happening, you think this person would do that? No. In response, 17 student groups, about 500 faculty and staff, and more than 3,000 affiliates signed a statement calling the Palestinian Solidarity Committee statement completely wrong and deeply offensive, only because they got backlash. And this is what I'm talking about. Like, it's time for courage. You need to push back against these people, bro, because these people are crazy, right? Evil wins when good men do nothing, and that's a parable. If there was no response, if there was no backlash, you think they would do this on their own accord? No, they wouldn't. Right? I think we need to get out of this idea that just because someone is weak, they're incapable of doing wrong or they're not evil, right? Because just because you're weak doesn't mean you're not evil. It just means you don't have the ability to act on it. And that's the reality we're facing in our culture today. Because a lot of the time, the internet has given a space for a lot of these people with ill-formed opinions, ill-formed beliefs to come here and sprout their nonsense on a platform, and someone will hear them. It will have some effect, no matter how minuscule it will have effect on society. And I think the only way you can counter that is to put your own voice behind the counter message. But hey, I digress. We're gonna not react, but I found a video with Turning Point USA. Charlie Kirk had when he went to UK, a student was supporting Palestine, and these are the kind of students that probably signed the letter that the CEOs are getting mad at. But let's take a quick look, and then I'll give my response throughout. Let's go.
But it seems, do you agree Iran's an evil?
I think that my
priority... Oh, a little hesitancy? Is Iran and Saudi Arabia both enemies of the West?
No, I don't believe
wow.
that at all.
So Iran funding Hamas and Hezbollah is what? Would you say that? Good?
I think that
Iran is the #1 terrorist funder in the world.
I think the Palestinian people and the Lebanese people have the right to defend themselves from Israel.
Hamas is not defending themselves.
Yes,
They're a terrorist organization targeting Jews, launching rockets into this nation state of Israel every single day.
And a lot of people, I don't understand what's a hard thing to recognize that. If someone attacks, expect a response. don't expect that, oh, I'm a hit and nothing's going to happen to me. No. If you dish it out, be ready to take it. Right? And this is what I'm talking about. Hamas don't really care about the people it pretends to do. And he was trying to make they were democratically elected. Yup. This is another failed policy about America interventionism. America came in and said, hey, you guys become a democracy, we'll fund you. And guess what the people did? They democratically elected someone from Hamas into their governance. And what they do with the funds? They didn't build no infrastructure for the people. They didn't do anything good for the people. They didn't build no water source or anything that will actually allow people of Gaza to thrive and survive there. No. Let's build weapons, align with other terrorist groups, and attack Israel. This is an ethnic hatred, bro. Identity politics. This is what it is. Identity politics is based on grievances, jealousy, envy, hatred, based on things people had no control over. Because they want to sit here and act like, oh, these people are settlers. When do you stop becoming a settler? How long is Israel been there? Just because you don't want to recognize Israel as a state doesn't mean they magically don't exist in front of you. No, they're there. They're there. That's why you're attacking them. They're there. Objectively, they're occupying the land. They're managing the land better than you were managing the land, apparently. Now you jealous. Now you want the land. And this is how I know the Hamas attack was never about land. Because if it was about land, why didn't they occupy the area? They didn't. All they did was came in, killed people, took them back, drove off. That's it. You met your objective. You felt happy, proud, celebrating because you met your objective. Your objective was to hurt Israel citizens. Not trying to reclaim your land back like you claim to do. And this is my problem with a lot of people who push the Palestinian talking point, is that when I ask for like proof or the actions to back up the claims or the premise or the assumptions they have about what the actions of what's the motive of the Palestinian people, it seems to always be contrary to what they state. So, I digress.
Sorry.
Hamas is not Palestinian. Hamas and Hezbollah are terrorist organizations that are committed to the complete and total destruction of the rightful nation state of Israel.
That's completely untrue. Hamas has repeatedly expressed acceptance of the two-state solution on the Okay, well, the terrorism.
So he made a claim about how, Hamas, I'm about to fly down south, cross the border into Texas, get bus to Chicago, rinse and repeat. Sounds like a pretty good retirement strategy. Maybe, because they're giving all kind of benefits to people on the southern border, and this is the problem too. Is that a lot of people in our political leadership class they want a war so bad, and I think I already did a video on this countless times, but I think it has something to do with the donors, and I think money and politics is what's really driving this globalist idea that we should know how things should be divvied up and controlled, who should get what. Right, Britain try to play this game, and you'll see in the videos after this one, is that they try to divvy up the people. I'm like, y'all don't know the history here. Might as well just let the people sort it out themselves. Because it's so funny how people can have a claim to the land because they were the last one to occupy it. When, if I look deep enough in their history, they probably took it from someone else as well. So you're making an accusation that you're likely to be guilty of because it's human nature. It's human history, right? Just like slavery wasn't something exclusive to America. It was universal. The same thing here. People get conquered and people do the conquering. Winners, losers. It's reality. But people want to attribute some type of morality because they think they can frame it in a way that makes them look optically good. But I digress. Let's continue.
That Hamas and Hezbollah are responsible for pales in comparison with the terrorism that Israel and the United States carry out on a regular basis.
Can I ask a question?
And furthermore, you say you're against wealth redistribution. So what do you think about billions of dollars of American taxpayers' money going to Israel
You mean
every year?
they buy U.S. weapons, there's not direct aid. Let me ask you a question. What happens to the families of terrorists in Palestine? Let's say there's a suicide bomber in the streets of Jerusalem. Did you know that there's a pay-for-slay policy where Palestinian families get a check every single month if they kill Jews? Did you know that? The Palestinian Authority,
that's the Palestinian Authority,
which Hamas is governed under because Israel, in the pursuit of peace, retreated from Hamas. Did Israel give up Hamas, yes or no?
The Palestinian Authority governs the West Bank.
What happened to the Gaza Strip? Did Israel used to occupy it, true or false?
Israel continues to occupy.
No, that's a lie. So it's a funny, weird narrative that we find ourselves in, right? Because they'll just say stuff, but then when you ask for the proof, they say, okay, show me the timestamp, because you're gonna see a difference between kind of the pro-Israel American outlook on what happened between Israel and the Palestinian state, if a Palestinian state ever existed in history. You're gonna see timestamps. Here's the timeline. Here's the event. Here's a specific time period, and this is the specific instance. Them narrative framing. Oh, we continue to get occupied. I don't remember what Israel hasn't occupied that place since 2005, and that's because they had to go in and extract kidnapped Israeli women. It's always that, like, Israel literally, we always have a reason why we have to go in there, and you're gonna see it's a repeated thing. And I just want people, it saddens me that we have a lot of Americans here that they're so emotional over this. And, I'm gonna talk about Ben in a minute towards the end. But I'm starting to think that maybe a part of our, if we do another amendment, just like how people who are not naturally born citizens can't run for president, I think people who have dual citizenship shouldn't even run for American office, honestly, because you have dual allegiance. I'm starting to think that way because I'm seeing how emotional people are going over this, right? Even at the expense of American citizens themselves. Because, for example, I could use Ben Shapiro as an example. Let's say we send all this foreign aid to Israel, right? And then something happened where America's left vulnerable because we gave all our weapons away. We're on short supply, whatever. And what's his name? Ben Shapiro can go to Israel because he has citizenship, and I don't have citizenship to Israel. I'm only an American citizen, so I'm left holding the bag, and all this foreign aid, the other side gets benefit. That's why I don't know. I'm conflicted about the dual citizenship point. I think if people have dual citizenship, it's like you got to take what they say with a grain of salt because, end of the day, they have like an escape hatchet. That's how I kind of see it, right? But I think I made a little side point. Let's get back into the debate here.
By Gaza.
It's controlled by the terrorist state of Hamas. It used to be functioning factories. It used to be rolling hills and vineyards. And the Hamas, the terrorists, took it over.
That's completely untrue.
And built terror tunnels and launched rockets.
Hamas.
As soon as Hamas was democratically elected, Israel immediately imposed a crippling blockade.
You think the PA is democratically elected?
No,
Hamas is an international prescribed terror organization. Hamas is an international prescribed terror organization.
Sorry?
Hamas is an internationally prescribed terror organization.
No, it's not actually. It's prescribed by a handful of Western countries, which support
including
Israel.
The one that you're in.
Yeah, I agree, but I don't uncritically
Intelligence agencies which are designed to serve the people of this country in America have prescribed Hamas. That should raise some serious questions in your head as to whether or not you should be supporting them.
I don't place limited faith in the intelligence services who said Iraq had weapons of mass destruction.
Okay, well, that's a completely separate topic of conversation.
Well, no,
that was UN's weapons inspectors who said
you're defending
Iraq had...
the intelligence services.
That were UN weapons inspectors who Iraq said they had weapons of mass destruction.
The UN weapons inspectors, no,
yes.
they didn't.
Yes, they did.
So now they're talking about weapons and all this stuff, but you kind of get the point here, right? They're fighting, right? Let me see if I can skip ahead. We're not even talking about that. I never said they intercepted rockets. So all this narrative, like fighting and stuff, like it's we're not in the ground, we're not there. I just think we should take an observer point of view on this. Like, we shouldn't be trying to pick sides. And I know people might be from there, people are sympathetic to the cause, but how you're just not getting one side of the story? All I can do is like one thing I can say. Humans, we suck at judging people's intentions, but we're good at judging results. We're good at judging action. And my question is, does the actions of Hamas line up to what they claim they're doing? Oh, we're for the people. Okay. If an organization for their people decides, hey, if we attack Israel, they can massacre us. Is it smart to go in, get a little women, decapitate some babies here and there, and it benefits our people? Is that a net negative or a net positive for them? You make that decision. To me, that's a net negative. You put your people at risk because you wanted to fulfill some ideological motive. Oh, I want to. It's emotion. You can't judge it logically. You can't judge it morally because you're not attacking the Israeli government. You're attacking the citizens, people who are born in that land. That's their land. That's their birthplace. And you go in, kill them, take them back to your place. You do the illegal sexual act with them, and you're supposed to expect the government to, oh no, we're gonna hold you with kid gloves. No, this is what happens when you put up in our culture, right? In college, you put this calling participation trophy. Oh, everything's gonna be all right. We're gonna boost your self-esteem. You never get criticized. You never get held accountable for your bad behavior and your bad actions. You never allow bad things to happen to these kids. They think, oh no, bad things shouldn't happen to nobody. Even if the person themselves is causing wrong and bad to other people. And my question has always been, how can you reason with someone who don't want to who don't want to be reasoned with? If you saw in my thumbnail, there's the three stances. This is why the Palestinian state never existed. Because every time Israel goes to the negotiation table with the Palestinians, they never want to negotiate with Israel. They never want to recognize that Israel is a state because they keep thinking, oh, you're illegitimate here. They're here though. Just like it's like someone says, oh, my truth says that Kenny doesn't exist. Well, I don't know who's streaming right now and talking in front of the camera right now, right? It doesn't matter how you view the other person. The objective reality is they're there. So either you can coexist with them or river to the sea. And does that sound peaceful to you? You think Israel hearing that is going to be like, oh, you're right, we should leave. No, they're not going to leave without a fight. That's reality. So what y'all going to do about it? And then if they decide to defend themselves and nuke you out of existence, who's to blame for that? You for putting yourself in a battle you can't win and not taking more peaceful action to kind of gain what you want? No, it's either their way or the highway. That's the kind of approach that I'm noticing a lot from the Palestinian people. Or Hamas, who claims to represent the Palestinian people. Let me say it like that, because I already know I'm going to hear somebody who's pro-Palestinian. They're going to come in here, say, oh, Kenny, this is misinformation, whatever. But I'm just telling you where I'm coming from as an American, seeing this as an outsider. I'm judging it based on the results, based on action. You say you want to reclaim stolen land? You didn't even occupy the place. All you did was kill people and you ran back. That don't sound like somebody that's trying to reclaim their land. It looks like more like somebody who's trying to go and kill a specific group of people based on their identity, aka the Jews. Right? Charlie Kirk in this video just mentioned how the Hamas has put incentive structure where they pay kids money to attack Jewish people. Come on. We know the motive of Hamas. Hamas is not there to make their people's lives better. They're there to leverage the people to get their own ends. And the end seems to be destroy the Israel state and kill the Jews. There's only one solution. That's a chant that was going on today in New York City, California, college campuses in Harvard. No, sorry, University of Washington. I misspoke. Calling for one solution. We all know what they mean by that one solution. That's identity politics, right? And as a black person, right? I never thought I would say that as a black person. As a man, when I see one group of people being demonized because of the color of their skin, that's very dangerous thinking. That's very tribalism. That's very tribalist thinking. There's no unity there. There's no way you can coexist if you continue dividing people on superficial categories such as their race, such as their skin color. Right? And this can easily happen here in America because we let the left continue to aggrandize that race pride is the thing that matters most in this country, not national pride. I'm done monologuing. Let's get back into the video.
Let's
terror,
just
but
watch
as I
some
said,
videos of the Iron
the acts
Dome
of terror that they
intercepting
carried
rockets.
out pale in comparison with the acts of terror that Israel and the United
Can you
States
tell me
routinely
why the
carry
PA
out.
fund gives money to the terrorist
I don't
families?
support the PA. I've
Who
never
do you
defended...
support, Iran or?
No, I support human beings who are struggling for their right
Then
to
you
live
should
in
hate
dignity
Iran
and
because
peace.
Iran murders human beings that are gay and they throw them off the top of buildings. You should hate Iran.
Yeah, I don't support the Iranian government, but neither do I support Saudi Arabia, which is supported by the West.
We,
And-
we actually don't support Saudi that much either here. So
We're not gonna-
Okay, and I also don't support a war against Iran, which you guys seem to.
well, we do support sanctions and not sending them
Okay,
billions of dollars. So when
which
Iran says,
which is not limited government, by the way.
So can I ask-
sanctions
Hang on a
against
sec,
Iran?
hang on a sec. Who? So in the
anarchy.
when the president of Iran comes out and says, "I want to wipe Israel off the map,"
He doesn't actually say that.
The Ayatollah Khamenei said that.
Ahmadinejad actually said that.
So if someone have video evidence of someone saying something, and you say, "Oh, it's not. This is not what he actually mean." This is what I'm talking about. The left don't play a game of, "Hey, does this exist in reality?" They play a game about perception, about framing. They just trying to convince you, not tell you, like, "Hey, this is the truth. This is how it happens. Look, I could demonstrate this happened. Here you go." That's how most conservatives think. That's how most critically thinking people think when they're looking for the truth. Is this demonstratable? Is there evidence for this claim? That's how a lot of critically thinking people think about issues. So when this guy said, "Oh, he never actually said that," or when you try to redefine his words, "Did you hear that racist undertone?" No, I just see the words, and that's the only thing I can judge. Because end of the day, anything else is projection. And I don't understand the left has this fascination of projecting a positive message on people who are on their side, but they're doing something they know is morally wrong or can be perceived that way.
Sorry, if you look at his statement,
Burn the American flag. It's
there's a
regularly
difference, there's
seen
a
on
difference
TV.
between rhetoric and action. There's all sorts of inflammatory rhetoric.
The idea is before the action, right? Before you do anything. Like it's crazy how not like we suffer from imagination more than from reality. If you have an idea, before you do anything, you had an idea of it first. Before I started this YouTube channel, I had the idea first, and then the action followed. So this guy saying, "Oh, rhetoric and action is different." Oh yeah, maybe, but rhetoric leads to action eventually, especially if it's not challenged, and that's what you're getting here in Hamas. By Hamas here, you can say they're indoctrinating the population that they're governing to make them think this way, right? You can make all these claims of how the people are victims, they're innocent, 50% of them are young and impressionable children and women and children. But end of the day, that's not Israel's problem. Look, I'm telling you, I'm a nationalist. If Israel is at let's look at it logically. If Israel is threatened by the existence of a group of people that are hostile, that have been indoctrinated to be hostile to them, what is the course of action you expect them to take? Just sit there and take it? Sit there and let, okay, yeah, 1,000 Jews killed. Okay, we'll hit you with 1,000 people. Okay, we're good. We're all even and square. You talk about from the ocean, from the river to the sea, right? But you don't want to, go into detail with that. What you mean by that? The assumption is that there's only one solution to this. If you completely remove the people out of the premise, like, so they don't pose a threat ever again, or you flatten Gaza. Is that the only? Because every time Israel tries to establish peace, something happens. And I'm done monologuing. Let's finish this, because this is a lot of these college students that we have here in America. Just get fed information, don't question it. Don't try to look at contrary opinion and make up their mind about something. No, I'm on this side. I'm supposed to agree with this stance. Tribalism. It sounds nothing more to me than dogma, but I digress.
Including
So we
from
just
the
don't
West.
trust the words
So
of the president
can
of
I
Iran.
say two quick things. First of all, Ayatollah Khamenei, the head of Iranian's theocratic construction, essentially part of government, and the former president Ahmadinejad said death to Israel, death to the West, death to America multiple times. How do they act on it? Because you said it's just words. They give billions to Hamas. They give billions to Hezbollah. They support the bombing of Israeli children. They give money to PA that funds and incentivizes terrorist behavior. They refuse to condemn Hamas and Hezbollah any time under UN resolutions, ever. They refuse to ever.
That's action. Like, see? You judge a man by his action, not his words. He can say all the pretty words, but what the action shows, right? If they're not for violence, they should condemn what's going on, but they don't condemn it. What that means, right? Don't the left like to say silence is violence? Science is compliance? Oh, but when it's when it's something that don't look too good for them, they're like, no, that's not what it means, right? This is what I'm saying. The left have this weird idea that they have inherent credibility. Like, we're just supposed to believe them. Oh, look, I'm a liberal. Just trust me, bro. No, I'm skeptical of you just as I'm skeptical of this person. The actions don't line up to the beautiful words you just finished saying on that stage. But I digress.
Vote and say this is wrong. They refuse. They actually fund BDS resolutions all across the world. They're outwardly anti-Semitic, not to mention outwardly anti-gay, anti-Christian, anti-Western. And finally, why does Iran want nuclear weapons so bad? Why? Because they want to act on their words to destroy Israel, destroy the West, destroy America. Iran is the fundamentally biggest and most sinister evil of everybody in this room. And if you have sympathy for it, I wonder why.
Okay, so
No, I mean, it's self-explanatory. It's like telegraphing your past, right? You telegraphing here, right? So let's get into the video. This is this PragerU that I got, right? And this is gonna go to a 5-minute video, right? Quick little synopsis history about what's going on. So let's get into the video.
If Israel just allowed the Palestinians to have a state of their own, there would be peace in the Middle East, right? That's what you hear from UN ambassadors, European diplomats, and most college professors. But what if
and college students as well, right? The college, remember in the earlier, sorry, after my 30-minute rant, the students claimed that, oh, Palestine won a two-state solution. Well, this video is going to kind of challenge that claim. Let's get into it.
I told you that Israel has already offered the Palestinians a state of their own, and not just once, but on 5 separate occasions. Don't believe me? Let's review the record. After the breakup of the Ottoman Empire following World War I, Britain took control of most of the Middle East, including the area that constitutes modern Israel. 17 years later, in 1936, the Arabs rebelled against the British and against their Jewish neighbors. The British formed a task force, the Peel Commission, to study the cause of the rebellion. The commission concluded that the reason for the violence was that 2 peoples, Jews and Arabs, wanted to govern the same land.
So, and that's the reality. This is the reality here, right? Now, there's no moral grandstanding. It's not like, oh no, this is our religious. No. If I take religion out of it, if I take ideology out of it, it all comes down to one thing. I want to govern this land and you want to govern this land. In human history, usually how this gets settled is one side dies. One side, we start a war, we get into a battle, we fight. One side wins, they occupy the land. That's usually how it happens. And now, oh no, the losing side, right? If I'm taking my Machiavellian view on this, the Arabs saying, no, this is our land, this is stolen land, they stole it from us. No, you sound like a sore loser at this point. Because the Jews are sitting there now. You can't revert history. How did Jews get here? They didn't get here by accident. But they want to scream at the world and they feel entitled to a land that wasn't even good stewards of. Look at how you treat Gaza. Look how Gaza's is operating at. That would have been the same. Like if Gaza was more of the area of Israel, all of that would look like Gaza. So that little parchment of land that you maintain, you're stewards of, you don't even take care of it. You don't even build any infrastructure on it because you're too worried about you're wasting energy and resources trying to fight someone outside of your government, outside of your jurisdiction, because you believe that they have something that you think you deserve. Instead of focusing your energy and your time on, hey, let's make this Gaza Strip the best place ever. Let's build it up and make it look as nice as possible, as good as possible for our people. No, y'all don't do that. Y'all waste all your resources, all your attention, all your energy trying to attack the Jews. They have a saying in sports was like, if you're worried about everyone else, you already lost, because you're not focusing all your time and attention on what you're doing, how you're running your race. And that's the thing. That's a big problem with identity politics, based on jealousy. This is all jealousy. Hey, Jews got the land that I want. We're gonna keep trying to kill them until we get it. I digress.
The answer, the Peel Commission concluded, would be to create 2 independent states, one for the Jews and one for the Arabs, a 2-state solution. The suggested split was heavily in favor of the Arabs. The British offered them 80% of the disputed territory, the Jews the remaining 20%. Yet, despite the tiny size of their proposal...
So imagine that. Oh, the Jews want to expand the Jewish state. They want to take over the whole sliver of land. They're colonizing all the surrounding areas. And this is the deal they had in 1936, before World War II, I believe. That little sliver of land, Jerusalem was still occupied by British, and the Arab state, look, God, that would have been Gaza. That would have been Palestine right there. Is this true or not? What happened? You're going to see it. It wasn't Israel's fault. Usually, you are your own worst enemy. Usually, when you have a bad outcome in life, it's usually your fault. You have the biggest impact on why that happened. Right? When America put itself in a mess, I'm saying that was America's fault, because America made a miscalculation there. Look what the Arabs did because of their pride. And it's going to go back to the 3 no's. As you saw it in the thumbnail. No peace, no recognition, no negotiation. That is the philosophy of every Palestinian. At least the Palestinian government that the people democratically elected. Y'all proved Plato right every single... What was it? Plato or Aristotle? I think it was Aristotle. Democracy... Democracy is the mob rule. And most people ain't, look, I'm sorry, look. People, this gives democracy a bad name. We gave Palestine democracy, and this is what they do with the democracy. Hire a bunch of terrorists in their position of power, and they're surprised that the terrorist decides to use the resources given to them to wage war on their ideological ethnic enemies. Surprise, right? Who would have thought? But, I digress.
State. The Jews voted to accept this offer, but the Arabs rejected it and resumed their violent rebellion. Rejection number 1. 10 years later, in 1947, the British asked the United Nations to find a new solution to the continuing tensions. Like the Peel Commission, the UN decided that the best way to resolve the conflict was to divide the land. In November 1947, the UN voted to create 2 states. Again, the Jews accepted the offer, and again, the Arabs rejected it.
Yeah, y'all gonna start noticing a pattern here. Like, come on. Let's be honest here. Let's be critically thinking adults, right? Hey, look, I'm an American. If I don't, like, if at the end of the day, I'm a third party. I don't have any emotional connection. I don't got a dog in this fight. I'm looking at it, say, hey, one side say, hey, I'm accepting the offer. Two, apparently, oh yeah, Palestinians are open to a 2-state solution. Okay. Throughout your entire history, none of your leaders in authority has ever done that. But Israel, every single time, Israel never said no. Offer after offer. Yeah, we accept these terms. We accept these terms. You accept these terms. All they ask, they just recognize us as a state. Nope. And right after they reject it, they attack. This is history now. This is not what I think. This is not what I feel. It's what I know. It's history. This is why you get Ben Shapiro when he go off on people and saying it's not a morally equivalent, because one side wants peace, one side wants their way. My way or the highway. That's how the Palestinians were operating. Sorry, the Arabs were operating. Come on. How do you deal with a people that are this unreasonable? Even when they get the better end of the deal, they still say no. Why? Because they want everything. They want 100%. And like I said, it's better to get a percentage of something than 100% of nothing. And the Arabs seem to not learn this lesson. Historically, anyway. But I digress. Let's get back into the video.
Only this time, they did so by launching an all-out war. Rejection number 2. Jordan, Egypt, Iraq, Lebanon, and Syria joined the conflict.
Woo!
But they failed. Israel won the war and got on with the business of building a new nation. Most of the land set
So now you get a historical account of how Israel end up being in its modern time today in 2020. Look at all these threats, all of them attacking. Israel still wins. Hey, okay, you want to get a war with us? 1947, let's go. I forgot the name of the war, the Yopal War. I forgot that's the anniversary they were celebrating when they got attacked recently in 2020. This is what they were celebrating. And oh, they're colonizers. Okay, you try to take them out, they still stand. They still here. That's objective. That's objectivity. They still there. They have more power. They have more leverage than you. Instead of playing it smart and thinking about your people, you're thinking about an ideological crusade that you don't have a possibility of actually achieving. From the river to the sea, it's impossible at this point. Y'all got no nukes. Y'all being supported by an outside government that's just using you as a means to an end. But oh, you know, it's an open air prison. All I see it is Israel's trying to protect itself and not come to the worst case scenario, and is that genocide, right? People who say, oh, I'm pro-Palestine, I don't want my people to get genocide. Y'all support actions. Y'all incentivize these people to create decisions, make actions that would lead them down to genocide. The path that you say you don't want to happen to them. But you're encouraging them to do that. That's crazy. Who loves you? Someone who says, don't do that. Hey, make peace with these people. Hey, do the two-state solution. Or someone that's egging you on to go down a path that will eventually lead you to your destruction because they're trying to spare your feelings. What's correct? Come on, we asking more questions, right? Does that sound more to you? Who sound like they want more peace? I'm an American. Hey, look, I'm an American. I don't care. And today, I'm looking at it like, I'm sitting here looking at you like, I'm just calling it. I'm like, yo, what you saying ain't lining up what you doing, sir. This is not congruent. But free Palestine. But it seemed like Palestine, they didn't want freedom. They want domination. That's what it seemed like to me. I could be wrong. But, I digress.
set aside by the UN for an Arab state, the West Bank and East Jerusalem became occupied territory, occupied not by Israel, but by Jordan. 20 years later, in 1967, the Arabs, led this time by Egypt and joined by Syria and Jordan, once again sought to destroy the Jewish state. The 1967...
Look how big Israel land used to be. Right? And you're going to see, this is like, if you want to play the optics game, Palestine people, the Jewish people beat y'all, hands down. Because look at the optics. Oh, we try to make peace with them every time we come to the table. We gave up land to get peace. And you're going to see further into this video. Look how big their piece of land used to be. It ain't that big no more. But people keep making claims. Oh, Israel's trying to occupy Gaza. They're trying to find excuses to flatten Gaza because they want to expand their state. Their state was bigger than where it was today. Wait, your claims don't match up to reality. Don't match up to the results. But, I digress. Let's continue.
conflict, known as the Six-Day War, ended in a stunning victory for Israel. Jerusalem and the West Bank, as well as the area known as the Gaza Strip, fell into Israel's hands. The government split over what to do with this new territory. Half wanted to return the West Bank to Jordan and Gaza to Egypt in exchange for peace. The other half wanted to give it to the region's Arabs, who had begun referring to themselves as the Palestinians, in the hope that they would ultimately build their own state there.
And did that happen? Nope. See, it seemed like a lot to me is like, and this is why I don't like identity politics. A lot of the times, people make decisions and actions that are counterproductive for the things that they claim that they want, because secretly or under the surface, they really want something else. But they're trying to pretend that they want this thing. But their actions don't line up to what they said they want. Oh, we want our own independent state. Israel gave you an opportunity, as you'll see in a couple of minutes.
Neither initiative got very far. A few months later, the Arab League met in Sudan and issued its infamous 3 no's. No peace with Israel, no recognition of Israel, no negotiations with Israel. Again, a 2-state solution was dismissed by the Arabs, making this rejection number 3.
Okay. My Palestinian people who, so the students are like, oh yeah, we're fine with a two-state solution as long as it fits our terms, says the Palestinian people, says Hamas. We don't want to recognize Jewish people as a state. We want all of them gone. How realistic is that? How realistic is that demand? Not realistic. But unfavorable terms. This is why we reject the two-state solution. No. It's because you wanted a certain outcome and you knew that wasn't realistic. So you just pretend you went through the motions and then you propagandize off of it saying, oh, look, they don't want to make peace with us. They want to give us, they gave us BS terms. This is our land. We don't need to negotiate. And then they send their troops to try to attack Israel again. Every time. Ben's going to give you a more comprehensive one. This is just an overview.
In 2000, Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Barak met at Camp David with Palestinian Liberation Organization Chairman Yasser Arafat to conclude a new two-state plan. Barak offered Arafat a Palestinian state in all of Gaza and 94% of the West Bank, with East Jerusalem as its capital. But the Palestinian leader rejected the offer. In the words of U.S. President Bill Clinton, Arafat was here 14 days and said no to everything.
Unreasonable. I can end the stream right here. Yo. Baffling. 14 days you sitting here. No. But you want peace. Oh, free Palestine. Like it's dumb. It's like if Britain gave America, hey, you guys can be an independent state, and we said, nah, we want to take all over. We want all of Britain to be America. Ain't gonna happen, G. This is unreal. This is not logical thinking, bro. This is driven by emotion. This is an emotional thinking. And what's the emotion? What's the emotion driving his nose? Hatred. My American view, at least. An American president at the time in the year 2000, he was brokering this too. Third party. You can't say, oh, this is a pro-Israel propaganda. No, it's not. It's an American view. Third party. You can't say this didn't happen. Well, you're gonna say he didn't represent Palestinians? They voted for him, I think. I don't know. But free Palestine, okay. Doing actions and behaviors that drives them down to a worse outcome. That's how you get Gaza. Gaza could have been a completely different thing if he had said yes. That's how I like to do these thought experiments. You have two paths. This is the no path and this is the yes path. If he had said yes and you would have had a Palestinian state, right? Gaza wouldn't be just a sliver of land between Egypt and Israel. It would have been an old state. People would have had more mobility, more opportunity, and your leadership said no. But it's Israel's fault, right? This is what I'm talking about. It's personal accountability, man. It's the same logic I do with black people. Hey, look, we need to make better decisions. Ain't the system's fault that we go to jail more than other people, even though we're a minority group. We're 30% of the population, but we represent 38% of the crimes. Is it no surprise that we have a disproportional amount of black men in jail? No, because we choose to make those actions. We choose to make these behaviors. And all we're doing is suffering the consequences of those behaviors. This is the same thing. This is the same argument I'm making about the Palestine people. Don't blame other people. Blame your government. And then below blaming your government, you blame the people that voted these people into power, that fell for the propaganda. Because all they knew how to throw the red meat. Red meat is, oh, look at this racism over here. Black people fall for it all the time here in America. Palestinians fall for the same thing over in their state. Oh, look, the Jewish people are doing this to us. And you whip you guys up into a frenzy and then you vote illogically. Then you get a guy that spends 14 days telling you no, that in the long term sets you up for poverty and despair, where you're looking forward to death. That's what those no's represent there. I'm getting a little heated, but hey, I digress. Because this is incompetence to me. And I'm starting to see the same trend going on in America today. All these politicians have to do, send an emotional message, appeal to emotion. And then people not thinking rationally, put people in power that set them up for a long-term pain down the road. That's exactly what's going on in Palestine. But instead of looking at themselves and say, hey, it's our fault, we put these people in power, we're condoning these terrorists using us as meat shields, we'll take it no more. Let's revolt against Hamas. You never hear that. You never hear someone say that. So my argument is Palestinians condoning this or not? You can't be clear. You don't know. You don't know if they're complicit or they're being used as meat shields. You don't know. But you expect Israel to, understand their situation and try to find out, putting their own life at risk. It's the same remedy these leftists put for cops. Oh, you should have not shot him like that. Oh, you should have waited and understand. No, you expecting a man to take that risk with his life when you wouldn't do that if you were in the same position. This is what a lot of these people are asking Israel to do. I'm not going to ask another country how they're going to deal with their mess. Hey, look, he's justified. Y'all kidnapped their citizens. You killed them. Y'all struck him first. Y'all gave him an excuse or reason to hit y'all hard. I'm just saying.
Instead, the Palestinians launched a bloody wave of suicide bombings that killed over 1,000 Israelis and maimed thousands more on buses, in wedding halls, and in pizza parlors. Rejection number 4. In 2008, Israel tried yet again. Prime Minister Ehud Olmert went even further than Ehud Barak had, expanding the peace offer to include additional land to sweeten the deal. Like his predecessor, the new Palestinian leader, Mahmoud Abbas, turned the deal down. Rejection number 5.
I mean, can we keep going? Look, hey, you don't have to believe me. You don't have to believe this video. Go verify these events. Oh, did this event actually happen? And you make up your own mind about this. I'm not in the business of telling people how to think. I mean, it's not how to think, what to think. I'm just, hey, as long as you're thinking, you arrive to a certain conclusion. Hey, you ran down this one. I'm just telling you where I'm coming from. I'm clarifying where my thoughts are at, and then how I see it and why I see it this way. 5 rejections now. Historical facts. This ain't me thinking, or I'm not trying to frame the argument. Like, no, look, bro, you guys didn't want peace. And then you got the fight y'all was looking for. Now y'all want, but no.
In between these last 2 Israeli offers, Israel unilaterally left Gaza, giving the Palestinians complete control there. Instead of developing this territory for the good of its citizens, the Palestinians turned Gaza into a terrorist base from which they have fired thousands of rockets into Israel.
I can frame it differently. Instead of saying the Palestinians turned Gaza into a terrorist base, the Palestinians let Gaza turn into a terrorist base. That's what I'm going to say. All right? If you think that's more accurate, let me know in the comment section. Let me know in the chat if that's a more accurate distinction. But regardless of how you view the thing, you can't say it don't happen. 2005. Another timestamp for y'all.
Each time Israel has agreed to a Palestinian state, the Palestinians have rejected the offer, often violently. So if you're interested in peace in the Middle East, maybe the answer is not to pressure Israel to make yet another offer of a state to the Palestinians. Maybe the answer is to pressure the Palestinians to finally accept the existence of a Jewish state.
I agree. I agree with that. Yo, that makes sense to me. Instead of keep beating a dead horse and saying, Israel, concede. Make concessions. No. Arabs, y'all need to go into the table and actually accept this. Hey, look, the Jewish people, they here. Israel is here. It's a state regardless if you think of it or not. Because every time you cross that boundary of that state, you get wrecked. It's like you going to learn today. I appreciate it, D James ZW. Good perspective, Kenny A. I'm trying, man. Like this is just an American view. All right, I'm trying to take a third party view. I'm not trying to overly commit to one side or the other. So now we're going to go into Ben Shapiro's view. I think Ben Shapiro gives a very good view on this. I'm trying to make sure I get a correct timestamp on the video. Right? I might zoom around. I'm not going to show the whole video because I'm coming close to my time. My time is 7:40. I'm trying to end the stream by 7:40. But let's get into it. Ben Shapiro, the reason I like Ben Shapiro so much is that this guy is a facts machine. Hey, no one can deny this guy's a facts machine, okay? He gives a lot of evidence, timestamps. I don't care what side of the issue you are on this. I'm an American. If you're an American, you don't really care, but morally, you could feel like, yo, Israel's in the right on this instance here. I don't care about, past atrocities. Is in the past for a reason. Let's focus on right now. Who struck first? Hamas. Okay. So now the IDF is going to come in there, airstrike them, and you make a lot of the times the IDF gives warnings. Apparently, I was doing a lot of research to make this live stream. The IDF, the Israeli Defense Force, they drop warning bombs to let people in there know, because they know Hamas's tactics of using their own people as meat shields to deter retaliation from Israel government. So, as a way of kind of minimizing civilian deaths, Israel dropped warning bombs, and then they dropped the actual bombs on the place. So if Israel wanted to do a genocide, why warn the people that supposedly they wanted to take out so they can expand their state? That don't make, you see, the actions don't make the actions do not meet the claims that the people who are free Palestine are saying. This is how I view things. If someone said, hey, I play in the NBA, I said, oh, okay, you play in the NBA. What team you play for? If he can't give me the name of a team, he can't tell me the position he plays. I don't see his name on the roster. Am I likely to believe his claim? No, I'm not. This is how I look at this thing. This is how I look at the Palestinian claims. Okay, you say the Jewish people want to exterminate them. Okay, why did it just came into Israel's mind now to cut off food and water out of in Gaza? Why did it just happen? You can't explain that to me. All we know is it was a reaction to what Palestine and the Hamas people did. Hamas did. But it's hard not to blame Palestinians, because they allow Hamas to gain so much control and freedom in that strip. That I can't see. My thing is, my default is there's no victims. There's volunteers, and you volunteer either passively or actively. There's no in between with me. So I think it's kind of like, if Palestinians really didn't want Hamas to have free reign, they would have found some way to work on, hey, we're not part of this. Hey, Hamas, you better stay over there. Boo, throw rocks at them. Because there's this idea that Hamas are freedom fighters. And to me, what makes someone a freedom fighter is they attack soldiers and the government. That's what freedom fighters do. Terrorists attack civilians and people who are defenseless because they know it's easier targets. So based on my definition, you could already tell what I think of Hamas. Hamas is a terrorist organization. It's a terrorist group. And the fact that people in our own mainstream media today in America don't even have the guts to actually call them out a spade, it saddens me. It shows that we're very sympathetic to this terrorist organization. I don't understand why Hamas doesn't get the ISIS treatment. When Obama killed Osama, everyone was making memes on that boy. But for some reason with Hamas, we don't give them the same treatment. It baffles me. But enough of my rambling. Let's get into Ben Shapiro's comprehensive. And this is 2 years ago. Look, 2021, Ben Shapiro made this video. And a lot of things he said here, you're going to start seeing parallels in it here in 2023. I digress. Let's get back into it.
This whole area. By about 1000 BCE, the kingdom of David.
So he was explaining the whole, how Jewish people end up in there. Sorry, I kind of skipped
the land
ahead.
of Israel begins approximately 1300 BCE, before the birth of Christ. Moses leaves Egypt somewhere around 1300 BCE. There are various sort of attempts to date this. A little bit later in the century, Joshua enters the land. He crosses the Jordan River, right? So the Jewish people go out here. They pass through the Red Sea. They end up wandering around in the desert, and then they enter the land of Canaan, right, which is this whole area. By about 1000 BCE, the kingdom of David is established. Jerusalem is the capital, right? This is the first that Jerusalem matters sort of in world history. Remember, still 1,000 years before Christ. By 957 BCE, the first temple of Solomon is built. It is built in Jerusalem. Now remember, this is still a good...
And a lot of what he's saying is true only from the fact that Jewish archaeologists, when they're excavating in the area, they found evidence of a city that existed around the time that Ben claims to be. So if Palestinians want to make this argument that they were there first, Ben makes an argument that they were there just at the same time or earlier before the Arabs. So, look, I'm taking in about different perspective. I'm taking in different information. I'm just giving you my thoughts. Hey, look, I haven't heard anyone break it down this deeply for the Palestinians. All I hear is narrative, framing. Oh no, they stole our land. Okay, when? They stole our land. No, man, I need specifics. I need reasons. I need a rational, logical thought of why you feel the way you feel. And why should people who are born today die for grievances that happened in the past that had nothing to do with the people today? That's my argument. This is why I don't like identity politics. Oh, people that look like me lost their land, so I had to feel anger on their behalf. It don't make sense to me, but you know, we're humans. Look, just as humans are thinking creatures, we're emotional too. So, hey, I accept that. That's the human condition. We're both thinking and emotional creatures. Hey, but something gotta give. I ain't gonna lie to you.
1,600 years before the rise of Islam. There's a lot of infighting among the Jews. There's a separation between the kingdom of Judah and the kingdom of Israel. Those are two separate kingdoms. And you end up with ancient maps that look sort of like this.
Yeah, we're getting
This
history
ancient
lessons.
map is the kingdom of Israel, which was 10 of the tribes. And then you have the kingdom of Judah, which is the one that was governed by the Davidic line. The first exile that happens to the Jews happens in 722 BCE when the Assyrians rush in from the north. You can see the Assyrian Empire at the top of this map. They rush in from the north. Then there's another exile that takes place in...
So now Ben's breaking out the exile, like how the Jewish people got exiled out of the land by the Assyrians, right? So Jews can make the argument, oh yeah, we took back the land the Assyrians took from us, right? And I'm telling you, it's human history, bro. Like, conquered or the conqueror. That's how human history, people who didn't grow up in, people who grew up in a very safe, comfortable, suburban environment, they don't understand how dangerous things can get. I grew up in the hood, bro. Look, I experienced 2 drive-by shootings, right? My brother got robbed at gunpoint. Bro, I'm used to the idea that, danger can happen here. I understand the nature of danger. If I had to pick, hey, you see your brother about to get shot by a stranger. You don't know what's going on. You just see a gun being pointed at your brother. What you gonna do? The assumption is I'm gonna shoot the motherfucker, right? And then I find out, oh, your brother did something bad to him. And no, that's human nature. Like, I'm being real here. Like, I don't sit here and try to pretend that I'm perfect, because I know one thing. It's a two-way street with me. If I know I could be biased, I could get things wrong, I know for damn sure other people can get things wrong. And I'm not going to sit here and pretend that they can't. Like, I'm supposed to trust you more because of what? You human just like me. So I'm going to check you and make sure, hey, man, you giving me some correct information here.
586 BCE, this is the Babylonian exile. So from way the hell out here on this map, the Babylonians come in, they conquer the land, and they destroy the first temple. In 515 BCE, there's this great return from Babylonia, and the second temple is built. In 63 BCE, the Romans take over. So Pompey, at that point, not the emperor, but...
hey, not the Romans coming in and taking over. Come on, bro. Look how many, in a span of what, a couple seconds? Ben just listed out 4 events that the land just changed occupation like that. That was human history, bro. It was killed or be killed out here. This is what I'm saying. I think we lack perspective because we're too coddled, right? We're a decadent culture. We're a first world culture. In a first world country, we kind of lose the reality of life. How bad, the reality that how bad things can actually get. We never think about how bad things can actually get. Hell, you give people a hard time recognizing the fact that one day they will die. Some people don't even want to contemplate that fact. Oh, damn, one day I'm going to die. They just, oh no, I'm going to be young forever. Forever 21. People don't even want to contemplate the idea that they're going to get old one day. This is first world problems. We're being distracted from reality, and then we want to play kumbaya, we want to play with other people's lives. Oh, Israel shouldn't do that. Oh, what you expect Israel to do? Lay down and die? Lower the consequences so that way Hamas go, oh, look, they didn't do nothing to us. Let's do it again. This is why bullying is a good thing. Because it teaches people to find out, hey, oh, if I want bad things to stop happening to me, I have to create a deterrent. What happens to you if you don't stick up for yourself when you get bullied? You invite more people to bully you. If one person comes in, bully you, you don't do nothing, you don't retaliate, you don't fight back, nothing. Other people's going to observe that and say, oh, he's soft. Oh, he ain't going to do nothing. Oh, okay. And you invite more people to bully you. Now, instead of being one bully, it's 2 bullies, 3 bullies, 4 bullies. And you're like, yo, I'm trying to be peaceful here. I don't understand. It's because you didn't retaliate. You didn't give them a consequence. Right? And that's what bullying taught me as a kid. Look, I speak proper English. I'm articulate. Look, in the black community, in black culture, at least in ghetto black culture, if you talk like me, you get made fun of. And you got 2 options. You make fun back, or you stay quiet and take it. And what happened? When I did that, more people made fun of me. More people. And I'm like, yo, only this guy was making fun of me. And then within 3 minutes, because I didn't say nothing back, this guy now making fun of me. And then when I start getting back at them, I talk proper English that everyone understand me. When they roast me, only black people understand them because they didn't know how to speak proper English. But when I roast them, everybody was laughing. They were like, oh, let me not mess with Kenny. Because you created a deterrent. Because at the end of the day, it's human nature. It takes a really principled, virtuous person to hold themselves accountable for when they do bad things. But people, it's human nature. People who don't believe in higher principles, don't believe in God, they don't have any values or virtues, it takes consequences for them to respect you. Oh, I'm going to get my butt beat if I mess with Kenny. Let me not mess with Kenny. That's the only way you get respect. That's what respect is. Respect essentially is, if I do something to this person, there's going to be a consequence for messing with him. And this is what a lot of people in our modern culture, especially on the left, don't seem to understand the reality of life. The reality of people. We're not inherently good. I won't even say we're not even inherently bad. It's just, hey, if you're a doormat, don't be surprised when people try to take advantage of you. This is the lesson. This is why people are like, yo, Israel, you have a right to defend yourself. Israel, we're not going to tell you. That's why people on the left who ask for a ceasefire, that's why they got such big backlash. Because everyone inherently understands what I just stated earlier with my bullying analogy. That if there's no consequence for someone crossing you, you incentivize them to do it more. You embolden them. This is the idea with soft on crime. This is why blue states have higher crime. Because there's no consequence. When bad guys do something bad, they don't hold themselves accountable because they're already breaking the law. The only thing they respect is punishment, consequence. Oh, I'm going to go to jail if I do this, so I'm not going to get caught. And when they get caught, what? They have to suffer the consequences. Or else you'll be like, oh, you just let me go after you just saw me steal $500 worth of merchandise. You still let me go out on with no bail, without bail. Okay, I'm going to just steal again. And this is how you get this repeat cycle. This is why everyone's justifying Israel react with such force. But I digress. I think I rambled too much. Let's get back in.
Just a general, takes over the area, and Judea becomes a vassal state. And Judea remains a vassal state of the Roman Empire, basically through the end of an independent Jewish kingdom. It's called Judea at this point. It is not called Israel. 70 CE is the destruction of Jerusalem. There's a Jewish revolt against the Roman government because of bad administrative practices and because of infighting and because of a crackdown on religious practice, and Jerusalem is destroyed. And not only is Jerusalem destroyed, the Second Temple is destroyed at the time as well. 130 to 136 CE, there is a massive revolt by the Jews under a general named Simon Bar Kokhba. The Bar Kokhba revolt was extremely damaging to the Roman Empire. They had to expend extraordinary resources in order to stop the Bar Kokhba revolt, which is why it was almost an independent kingdom for a solid 4 or 5 years there. They renamed the area Palestine as an insult to the Jews. That's why it was named Palestine. So when people say historic Palestine, understand that the existence of Palestine was meant as a name, as an insult to the Jews, who were considered the historic inhabitants of the land, and it is first used in 136 CE, a solid 1,200 years after the Jews first enter the land at a minimum.
So, Ben just established that, hey, Palestinians, you weren't here first technically. We were here first. It's just we got hit by the Assyrian Empire. This empire came in. Rome came up in here. Wreck our ish. We finally got free from Rome. Then the kingdom this kingdom, I don't know the name, but they're the ones that created the first the historical Palestinian people. So that's a lot of things to refute there. And it sounds like everything he says is pretty legit. Because I'm like, yo, how did Jewish people got there? And they try to make this claim, oh, they left, they came back. Like, yo, you saw how quickly the occupation of the land changed. It's ridiculous. And for people to use historical, oh, it used to be our land. Oh, it used to be someone else's land before your people came in too. Human nature, bro. This is why I don't believe in holding on to grievance based on a past that had nothing to do with you. You wasn't born in it, right? Or maybe people in Gaza could say, oh, we're in poverty, but that's because of your ill-managed government. That's not because of the Israel people, not the fight, none of that. It's because your government governed bad. So the way you fix bad government is putting in good government. But the only way you can get good government is if the people in place good incentives. But I digress.
Now, finally, we get to the founding of Islam. So Islam finally is founded around the 7th century CE. Arabs take over this land in about 636 CE. In 1099, the Crusaders decide that they are going to take back the land. And from 1099 to 1291, the Crusaders are fighting battles with the Islamic world and establish rule inside Jerusalem and inside Israel. In 1291, the Crusaders are defeated, and a Muslim group called the Mamluks take over. They rule for a couple of hundred years. In 1517, the Ottoman Empire, another Muslim empire, takes over the entire area. Now, understand, since the destruction of...
Sorry, I had to pause so I don't get copyrighted, but damn! That land, bruh. But that's Palestinians' land. Okay. It sounds like you're saying, I want my people to occupy this land. And when they say free Palestine, it's not some righteous, moral cause. It's just a means of self-interest. Hey, I want this land. I want my people to govern this land. That's all it is. When you hear free Palestine, that's what it really is. I want my people to operate this land. And I'm just trying to create moral confusion to bolster my claim to that land. That's all it is. You see the game here? This is manipulation, bro. And one thing I hate being manipulated. But I digress.
The Kingdom of Judea. There has not been a single independent state called Palestine set up any time in here. It has always just been a territory of an outlying empire, and pretty sparsely populated, actually, because there wasn't a lot there, as it turns out. The Ottoman Empire, this entire time from 1517 to 1918, till the end of World War I, during that time, they really didn't want Jews settling in the land, and so they had barred Jewish land purchase. You actually could not buy land in this area if you were Jewish. Jews started to make sort of backdoor deals with local Arabs to buy their land, and so you start seeing Jews trying to escape various places from which they've been exiled for, thousands of years, back to the Holy Land. There's a constant Jewish presence here. Throughout all of these exiles, there's never no presence of Jews in, for example, Hebron or in Jerusalem or in various areas of the Holy Land. But the first major aliyah, which is termed the aliyah in Hebrew, that means to go up, right? Because there's a spiritual rising that takes place when you go to the Holy Land. The first aliyah is around 1882. It's late 19th century, and it's mostly Russians attempting to escape pogroms that are happening in Russia. By 1897, the Zionist movement begins, and this...
All right, so this is where I think this whole kind of hatred for Israel comes in, right? Because the Zionist movement is pretty much the Jewish version of white supremacy, right? It's racial supremacy. And like I said, this idea of racial supremacy is not unique to just white people. Everyone has it. Black people have it. Hispanic people have it. Everyone has in their history ideologues that come in and say, we are the superior race. So a lot of people like to contribute the current state of Israel to a Zionist movement. All these Zionists, they just want to increase and expand their land. They want to rule the world, right? This is where if Jewish people hit a high position of power, it's because they're trying to take over the world. This is where this idea comes from, right? So we'll let Ben talk about it because my skin color, I might be accused of something if I start talking about it. But I digress. Let's get back into it.
This is the idea that there's going to be an independent Jewish state in Israel. It is launched by Theodor Herzl. He's the founder of the World Zionist Organization. He is not a particularly religious Jew. He launches this after the Dreyfus Affair. The Dreyfus Affair was this famous affair in France in which there was a member of the French army who was Jewish. He was falsely accused of spying for the Austro-Hungarian Empire. It unleashed this giant wave of anti-Semitism. He was basically condemned despite evidence because of the anti-Semitism, and Herzl decided, well, anti-Semitism is too strong a threat. The Jews need some homeland to call their own. In 1917, Britain declares the Balfour Declaration. This says there will be a Jewish homeland in the area of Israel. The amount of land that was promised to the Jews was actually not just what is labeled Israel here, but also Jordan, which at this time was called Transjordan, which makes some sense in the sense that the Arab states around it were going to be Egypt, it was going to be Saudi Arabia, it was going to be Syria, it was going to be Lebanon. There are a bevy of Arab states that surround this entire region. In 1920, there are Arab pogroms against Jews in Jerusalem. So when people say that there was no
A
conflict,
pogrom is an organized massacre, especially of Jews. This is crazy. 1920, before World War I, essentially, right? If I got my dates correct. So this is some interesting conversation here, because I've been hearing for a long time that the Jews got in because America came in and just helped them colonize the area. But they've been here since what, 1300 BC, before Christ. There was always a constant Jewish presence there. That's an argument this whole timeline is resting on. There was always a constant Jewish population in that area. So to make this argument that, oh, they stole our land, oh, they're colonizers, oh, they're settlers, you got to ask, oh, when did they become settlers? When did they come into this area? And they're going to get stuck. Because Jewish people had a constant presence there before Islam was even founded. Craziness. Before these people had a religion that gave them a religious claim to the land. Jewish people were there already. I mean, it makes sense. But hey, I digress.
between Arabs and Jews until the creation of the State of Israel. That's just a lie. It's not true at all. There were major Arab pogroms against Jews in Jerusalem because Jews wanted to commit the great sin of praying at the Western Wall. This, of course, was not allowed. In 1922, this is post-World War I now, the British are given a mandate over the area of Palestine. They start walking back the promises of the Balfour Declaration. And the Brits separate off Transjordan, and they call it Jordan, and they say that's going to go to the Arabs. In 1929...
So we kind of remember in the previous video, we kind of went through that history point. So I'm going to skip because I wanted to get into something interesting, which was in the 1964s when essentially...
Armies can come in, and we can wipe the state off the map. Well, that's not...
So he's going to go into when, they tried to, the Arab states tried to...
Heavily pushing the British to establish a Jewish state and to lift restrictions on Jewish immigration into British Mandate Palestine. They side with the Brits, right? They form their own divisions. They're trying to help the British. What they say is that we fight for Jewish immigration to Palestine as though there were no Germans, and we fight the Germans as if there were no British, right? That's the way the Jews see it in British Mandate Palestine. They're attempting to negotiate. The Arabs side with Hitler. Okay, during World War II.
So this is during World War II. I wanted to skip that because we kind of got a cursory knowledge based on the last video I showed. So we wanted to get into details about this because I found this part very interesting in the video. Let's get back to it.
Hajmin al-Husseini. He is the Grand Mufti of Jerusalem, one of the Palestinian leaders at the time. The Arab.
So remember, the Palestinian people had politicians that were aligned with the Nazis. Okay, so who won the World War? Hey, Nazis promised this is going to be your land, Palestine. The Jewish people were aligned with the Allies, U.S., the West. So this kind of explains, the only reason Jewish have a state here is because America allowed the Jewish people to occupy this land with their support. Well, you was going to occupy the land if Nazi had won the World War II. This would have been y'all. Y'all would have been complaining, Germany's, it could have easily been reversed. But America won. So Jewish got the land. Like it makes sense to me, bro. It's just like, the winners get to decide the terms. And for that, people feel some type of way about it. Instead of accepting reality, hey, we lost. Let's do what we can to make the best of it. Make the best of the situation. Nah, they want to hold on to past grievances and use it to justify erroneous attacks against another group of people that had nothing to do with this stuff. I feel like I'm beating a dead horse with this one, but let's get back into it.
Leaders at the time, and he was literally meeting with Hitler, attempting to encourage Hitler to establish a final solution in the Holy Land should the Germans be able to conquer that area, which the Germans came pretty close. I mean, you had Rommel literally in Egypt, right? Rommel was over here. Okay, so fast forward, you're now after World War II. Still, the British Mandate is limiting the amount of Jewish immigration into British Mandate Palestine because they're attempting to keep this conflict between the Jews and the Arabs simmering at a lower level. Okay, 1947, there's a UN partition plan because now the British Mandate in Palestine, they want to end it. They want to withdraw. They don't want to be there anymore.
Yep.
So the UN says, okay, we're going to vote on a partition plan. It retains Jerusalem as internationally governed. Okay, so it would not have been Jewish territory or Arab territory. It would have been internationally governed. It's just this fragmented, ridiculous state. Okay, the state for the Jews would have been like a slice here, a little bit of a slice of the coastal area here, and then the Negev desert down here. The Jews are like, give us whatever you got, right? Whatever you're going to give us, we will take. The Arabs instead decide that they're going to launch a bunch of low-level conflicts. So there's this kind of low-level, quiet war that's going on for about a year, with Arabs attacking Jewish settlements and attempting to kill Jews, and Jews attempting to defend themselves. May 14th, 1948, the British Mandate officially ends. Israel declares its independence, right? This is Yom HaAtzmaut, or as the Arabs like to call it, the Nakba, right? They call it a disaster that Israel was established.
So you get, so even Ben acknowledges, hey, look, this is where Palestinians got mad because we declare independence. Hey, this is our holy land. This is our state. This is where we're going to begin our country. Essentially doing what the U.S. did to Britain. And Palestinians are mad. Like, this is what I'm saying. I think it's just a historical passing. It's a historical curse of passing down hatred for a group of people because essentially things didn't go your way. That's how I'm starting to come away with this. This is the kind of perspective I'm coming away with all this stuff. And look, he gave you the points, he gave you the history, he gave you the timestamps, he gave you the events where it happened. I think this is a pretty comprehensive view of things. And this was made 2 years ago, so I don't want to hear anything about, Ben's being biased, he's trying to propagandize. No, this is before anything really even happened, I think. But, I digress. Let's get back into it. I think I'm really invested in this video. I think I'm going to go a little bit longer. Let's get back into it.
The leader of Israel at this time is David Ben-Gurion. Ben-Gurion is no right-winger. He's no hardcore right-winger. Ben-Gurion was a labor socialist. Ben-Gurion was very much in favor of a wide variety of negotiations. He was quite anti-religious in sort of his own persona. But he understood the necessity of there being a Jewish state. In their founding documents, they ask the Arabs to stay. If you read the Declaration of Independence of the State of Israel, they explicitly say, we want to be a state for all of our citizens. Yes, we're a Jewish state, but we want Arabs to stay. We want them to become citizens. Instead, all of the surrounding Arab countries declare war. Israel is surrounded on every side by hostile states. Every single side.
Which is what we saw in the previous video with the PragerU one, right?
Right, so you got Lebanon up north, you got Syria here, you got Jordan, you got Saudi Arabia, you got Egypt down here. And then there are a bunch of far-flung states that are also getting involved, right? Morocco was part of the 1948 war. You have a bunch of states that have decided they are going to invade and they are going to destroy Israel. Like, they're just going to strangle it in the crib. And they're openly saying this. And not only are they openly saying this, they're telling the Arabs who are living in the Jewish areas, get out and get out of the way so our armies can come in and we can wipe the state off the map. Well, that's not how it ends up, right? The way that it ends up is that the Jews end up basically retaining pretty much everything that's on this map, with the exception of the old city of Jerusalem, right? So Jerusalem ends up basically split down the middle. Jerusalem is not controlled by the Jews at this point. The Temple Mount is still controlled by the Jordanians. The way that people speak about this particular period is as if there was a Palestinian state at this point. There was not. By 1964, the Arab states have decided that they need almost a propaganda effort here. So they create the Palestine Liberation Organization. The Palestine Liberation Organization,
which, if you remember, we saw in the last video where with the PragerU, how he mentioned the leader. This is where the famous three no's came from, right? This is his movement here, right? And Ben calls it a propaganda effort, and you'll hear his side of things why he thinks that way. And let's hear him out.
Is a terrorist group. It explicitly calls for the destruction of Israel. Now, you will note, at this point, Israel does not control any of this or any of this. So when they say Palestine Liberation Organization, they mean this whole thing, right? That whole thing is supposed to go away because Israel doesn't even control that at that point. And they're not calling for Palestine to be liberated from Jordan or from Egypt. They're calling for the complete destruction of the state of Israel.
So, like, it's all directed towards one group of people. Like, if you, like, this is me. If I'm taking you honestly, hey, we want to liberate Palestine. Okay. If you claim that whole state of this Palestine, okay, you got Syria, you got Jordan, and you got Egypt. Why you ain't beefing with them? They're in your way too. No, only Israel. It's not ethnic hatred. It's not rooted in ethnic hatred. Okay, no. Okay.
Okay, so in 1967, the Arabs mobilized for all-out war. And this includes Egypt, it includes Jordan, it includes Saudi, it includes Syria.
And they
this
all
is going to be the big war where
they all took an L.
they finally get rid of this nascent Jewish state that is less than 20 years old, right?
Oh,
and this is
God.
just less than 3 decades after the Holocaust. And Israel instead launches a preemptive war. They see this coming. They destroy the entire Egyptian Air Force on the ground. And in 6 days, they proceed to take the Golan Heights, which is this area of Syria. Israel takes over the entire Sinai Desert, takes all of Judea and Samaria to the Jordan River, takes all of the Gaza Strip, takes control of the old city of Jerusalem. Right? They do all of this in 6 days, which is why it's considered a miracle by the state of Israel. I mean, it's an unbelievable military performance. So in 6 days, they take what was going to be the war for their destruction, and they proceed to expand their borders from this tiny thing to this, and all of this. Israel then proceeds to give up like all.
Goddamn, bro, look. Before the war, June 5th, 1967, look how small their land was. After the war, 6 days later, in 6 days, look how much they occupied. Oh, but they want to genocide people. Like, yo. And they don't even have the military might that they have today. Look what they were able to do in 6 days. So it seems like this is like, to me as an American seeing this, it seems like if Israel really wanted to, they could take over that whole land if they wanted to, but they don't. Right? And it backs up what Ben Shapiro claims, that we just want to exist. And the reason why we get attacked so much is not because we're occupying, it's not because we're trying to expand, it's not because we're mistreating people, our neighbors around us, because in reality, if they wanted to, they could do this all over again. 6 days. It took them 6 days to do that. Like the claims that the Palestinians make about Israel, it does not fit the actions. If you wanted a Zionist state, why not expand? Why you wanted to shrink it? Because all they wanted was peace. The action follows the claim. Ben says, hey, Israel just wanted peace. Israel just wanted to have a state of their own. That's it. They didn't want to have no big empire like America. They just wanted to, hey, we just want our little slice of the cake. Everyone can have whatever they want. And their actions follow that idea consistently. But people are out here still wanting to believe that somehow Israel is in the wrong for this. The left, bro, y'all got to do better, bro.
All of it, right? So Israel keeps the Golan Heights because that's a military necessity. The UN calls for Israel to withdraw from occupied territories. Now, the language here matters if you care about the UN. I don't happen to care about the UN. I think it's a garbage organization. But if you do care about the UN, there's a resolution put forward by the UN Security Council. It calls for Israel to withdraw from occupied territories, not the occupied territories. Now, that makes a difference because if it said the occupied territories, presumably it would mean anything Israel won, it would have to withdraw from if you care about the UN, which you really shouldn't. But it says occupied territories, which means subject to negotiations. The 67 Arab League summit happens. And they agree in Khartoum, Sudan, on the 3 no's. No peace, no recognition, no negotiations.
Which is what we heard in the last clip from a different guy. So this has been consistent. I mean, this is something that people who are pro-Palestine, they have to deal with. If they want to use historical as a reason for justifying the attacks or the reason why Hamas exists and try to lay the claim, oh, Israel's the reason Hamas exists. Well, you're going to have to contend with all this because it seemed like Palestinians created Hamas out of their own accord, out of their own motives, out of their own hatred for this group here. This is why identity politics is dangerous, folks.
And these are the 3 no's that are going to govern the Arabs all the way through. Basically until now, until the Abraham Accords. These were the 3 no's that mattered. And this is all the way in 1967. So whenever people talk about there needs to be a 2-state solution, why couldn't they have come to an agreement? Because literally one side said there will be no peace, no recognition, and no negotiations. One side has accepted every single peace deal provided to it to this point in time. And one side has said we will not accept any peace deal. And yet somehow there's a moral equivalency between the 2 sides. Explain that one. Okay, 7.
I mean, it's hard to explain that. But you got people out here, free Palestine. Come on. If they wanted peace, they could have had peace. Now, I'm already over my time, guys. I really want to dig deeper into it. Maybe I'll do a part 2. You guys will let me know in the comment section if I should do a part 2 about this. But if you want, I'll link the description to this video, so you can watch the full thing. You can leave off where I left off. I left off at 13 minutes 42 and I skipped around. So if you want to watch the whole thing by yourself, I'll link the videos in the description below. I appreciate you guys for watching the stream. Don't forget to like on your way out. I really appreciate you guys having you guys here. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. And I'll catch you guys on the next live stream. I'll see you guys next week. And I hope you guys have a good weekend. Peace.